with Coleman here on the Axopar 37, an absolutely gorgeous boat. And Coleman has been gracious enough to offer to take us through it real quick. And we're going to roll with that. Go ahead.
Totally, yeah. So I work with Jeff Brown Yachts, and we're the West Coast dealer for these boats. I've been doing this for a little over a year and gotten to see a lot of different configurations. So I think, like most people, the key thing about these boats is a million different ways you can set them up, right? So
yeah, that's what's
my
cool
first
about it.
thing is when I work with someone is kind of go through what their use case is going to be.
Yeah.
And so then when we end up with a stock boat like this, we kind of have to build it out based on what we think is going to work and what we think is going to sell. So a lot of stuff you see on this boat you might not see on other boats, or you might be not seeing stuff here that you would see on other boats. So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
For example, like you have these rails back here. These are just grab rails. It's pretty standard, but you can also swap these out for like bucket seats that fold down, so you have more seating back here. Of course, this is the wet bar configuration. So you have this big open aft deck, the big storage lockers underneath, propane cooktop, a Dometic fridge, and pressure hot and cold water. This boat has the twin 300 Mercuries. They're V8s, naturally aspirated. You can do a 350 supercharged motors. It's a little bit quicker in acceleration, but top speed's not going to be, drastically different.
Right.
This has the Brabus trim, so you can see the black powder coat on all of the metal surfaces.
Yeah, it's just gorgeous.
Right. Where compared to, this is the standard stainless trim on the 28 here. So you've got stainless cleats, rails, white roof racks, stainless radar tower up there. One thing I really like about these motors is, I'm sure people that are familiar with Mercury because they're on a lot of different boats, but a lot of motors in the past didn't have an easy way to check the oil. So you can just pop this up, check and fill oil from there, and you can even take the whole cowling off. Whereas a lot of boats in the past, or a lot of engines rather, you'd have to take the cowling off to even just access, just to check in basic oil stuff. So super nice,
thought out. But it's, I mean, just the design and everything, the options that you have to put this boat together is just incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. So the big sort of key concept on the Axopars is like a full walk around, right?
Yeah.
So basically they took a center console concept and made it bigger, put a cabin on it, and give you the option to be indoors and outdoors, right? At any point. One of my favorite things to do, especially around here, we get a lot of sunny days in the fall and winter that are clear but cold, and so if you close up the doors and you remove the wind chill factor, you can still open the roof and you actually get kind of warmth from the sun, and it's nice to cruise around like that.
Yeah.
And then super easy, if it does get kind of cold or rainy, you just hit the button and close it right up. This boat has the standard table setup. Some of them have what's called a galley module, but this one is just kind of the basic one, flip open table, seating around here. One of the little tricks that I have found on these boats is when you're spinning the seats around, it's really nice because you can sit around the center table, but you want to make sure to move the seat either all the way forward or all the way back before spinning it so you don't interfere. So basically I'll pull it forward and I can spin it this way and the back won't hit the other side. Or alternatively, I can slide it all the way back and then spin it this way and it's not going to interfere with the other seat. So just like a little thing that might be difficult if you're just trying to kind of hit them together.
But it just blows me away the way they thought this all through.
Totally.
It's just very cool.
Totally.
And so accommodations are forward, but there's also, there's accommodations?
So there is an option for an aft cabin. So instead of the wet bar out back, you'd have essentially a sun bed.
Okay.
And then the aft cabin access is down under here. So in this boat, this is just storage. And so I'll just lift this up. There's a little clip like that. And so on the aft cabin boat, you'd actually wouldn't have this here, and this steps down, and the cabin's back there.
And the cabin's back there.
It's not standing headroom cabin, but it's actually
it's
probably more square footage than that, but it's kind of personal preference what you decide the master cabin to be.
Okay. Yeah, maybe explain the helm. We'll take a look at the.
Yeah, so this boat has the dual Simrad 12-inch displays behind a glass panel, which is the top tier option for the chart plotters.
I love that show. No, I'm sorry.
But yeah, I mean, it makes it ultra clean, and it kind of just follows in line with the modern Scandinavian design. I mean, obviously you look around the boat and everything's super clean and simple.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I talk to when I'm talking people through these boats is that there's really not a lot of extraneous trim and, you know, wood and all this stuff that looks nice, and you know, some people really care about that, but in terms of
it's just
low
functional.
maintenance,
Yeah, it's functional, and it's got everything you could possibly want.
right, and you know, generally these boats are priced lower than a lot of the competition, and I think it's a lot because you're not paying for stuff that you don't necessarily need or want, right?
Sure.
And so when you're building out the boat, you're like, you know, say you don't want the trim tabs or you don't want 2 screens, you don't have to pay for that, right? You can build it out whatever your specification might be.
So do you have boats in inventory, or are they all custom?
We do have boats in inventory. Okay. So we do custom orders, and we have stock boats that we order based on what we think is going to do well in the market. Okay. And I would say it's not exactly 50-50, but pretty somewhere in there depending on the year.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, the huge asset on this boat is it's a 37-foot boat, but it feels bigger but also smaller.
Yeah.
Because you're in this sort of pilot house space, but you're right on the water and you can see all around you. And there's a lot of boats that you just don't have that 360-degree visibility.
Right. No, that's nice. That's the whole thing about this boat. It's right. just the light and just how open it is. And you feel like you're on a smaller boat. Right. But you've got the accommodations of a much larger boat.
And sort of the ride quality too.
Yeah.
The other thing I like to point out is most boats, you'll see even the bigger ones here or the smaller ones there, you enter through the back, right? And you walk forward to the helm.
Sure.
But one thing, I drive these boats a lot, delivering them around and moving around for shows and all sorts of stuff. When I'm by myself, being able to literally be on the side of the boat with a midship cleat and a line and all the controls right here is super nice. Yeah. I'm not kind of running out back and climbing around up front and all this stuff. It's like being in an open boat, right? Mm-hmm. You have just like hop in, hop out. So from that perspective, I think it's pretty rad, especially considering you just close everything up when it is not super pleasant out and you're in an enclosed pilot house. I like to kind of, if it is, you know, rough, you can kind of pop yourself up on this bolster with your feet on the thing, and you kind of lock yourself in pretty well. You get up a little bit higher and have better visibility. Sure. You know, I would say it's very much a driver's boat, or they're very driver experience focused, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all about the driver. Yeah, it's just gorgeous. Take us forward and let's take a look at the accommodations real quick. And
so this is standard on all the 37 cross cabins, is this sort of companionway that pops up with the sliding door on the bottom here. This boat is configured as I guess what you call a day cruiser, in the sense that it doesn't have the enclosed head, but there is an electric head under the cushion here. So, I mean, full electric head, holding tank. It's not anything different than you'd see on a proper 40-foot boat. Another thing that's really awesome on this one, and you can feel it as you're down here, is you have the gullwing doors. So even though you're kind of down in the boat, you still feel really kind of outside. You have super nice ventilation.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool. It's kind of spacey feeling.
I've been around boats my entire life. This is the uniqueness of this boat, and just openness and airiness. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, and on a day like this, it's like it doesn't get any better.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this.
I'd say we have probably half of our customers who really want a enclosed head. You know, they're getting almost a 40-foot boat. They want an enclosed head with a shower, which is something that's totally doable. Mm-hmm. Then the other half are say, you know, we're not planning on spending nights on this boat, or they're taking it to their second home, or maybe to a hotel, or as a transporter or a day boat.
Sure.
And so this is better for them because there's more space down here for seating or gear or kids or whatever. So
yeah, no, outstanding.
it's
And
cool to be able to talk to people and say and have them say, oh, well, we really actually see ourselves using it this way. It's like, well, we can make it do that for you, you know.
Yeah.
So
what's been the reaction at the show? I mean, have you had a lot of traffic? Have you...
yeah, I mean, it's been pretty good so far. I think in general, all of our shows up here, people are really excited to see the boats. They'll either see them for the first time and be like, what the heck is that? That's crazy. Or people will come up and be like, I've been looking at these online for so long, watching all the videos, and I just really wanted to get on one. So I don't know, it's cool to be a part of something that there's, you know, excitement around.
Selling up here in the Northwest? I mean,
yeah, totally. I mean, people really are realizing that these boats, they're designed for the, you know, the Nordic area, Scandinavia and Finland. And it's a pretty similar sort of geography and climate and, you know, use case. And so I think it's really taken off.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely,
and,
man.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time.